Join us now with the latest on President Trump's Asia trip. Anja Manuel, Aspen Strategy Group, Executive Director. Good morning. It's good to have you this morning to respond to a lot of this. Can we?
Happy to be here.
This is you point out that the new Japanese Prime Minister, transformational leader in Japan and pro-U.S. It's weird the way that's happening. I guess it happened in Argentina as well. How will this affect relations between our country and Japan?
I think this is a really positive sign. She's a strong leader. She's deeply conservative. But one of the things that means is that she wants very strong defense ties and economic ties with the United States. And you're already seeing that in how she has accelerated how fast Japan will get to 2% of GDP spending on defense. And I think this is going to be a positive relationship. That's very important because, as you know, Joe, the Indo-Pacific is becoming more and more dangerous. And of course, we're all watching what happens between President Trump's meeting with President Xi later this week.
It's probably not a coincidence the way this is going now. Japan and eventually a meeting, I guess, with President Xi. Was it planned that way, do you think? Because he can show up, for that meeting with a lot of these other deals already done. Are we strengthened and emboldened by what's happening right now for our dealing with China?
We are strengthened, and I do think that's intentional. Traditionally, U.S. presidents will meet with our friends and allies in Asia and elsewhere before we meet with big countries where we have a more complicated relationship, and that is China. So I do think it was right for the president to sweep through ASEAN, do a lot of critical minerals deals. It sounds like the deal that's shaping up between Japan and the U.S. is going well. And now, of course, the big question is what happens with China. And what the reporting we've seen so far is mostly a rollback of the problems that China and the U.S. have created for themselves and each other over the last 10 months, with maybe some additional work on fentanyl, which would be very welcome. So we'll wait to see what happens.
I was going to ask you about that, because let's drill down on that. You at least concede that it takes two to tango, that these China and the U.S. have created some of these problems. Neither one is maybe blameless. The New York Times, that's what I was going to reference. Trump seeks to end the crisis he initiated. I know what they're saying, but it was in response to something that I was going to ask you. Over the years, have we not been treated badly in certain areas of trade by China that maybe caused President Trump to think those things had to be, I don't know, reset or dealt with?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right that the U.S. and China have a very complicated relationship, especially on the economic side. And there are big imbalances. The Chinese have massive overcapacity that they export, sometimes dump on the markets. And there are security issues, of course. But this trade deal, while I think it's an important beginning, doesn't quite fix those big structural problems that that frankly we've been dealing with across different administrations and still are.
If we could get, well, let me ask you, do you think fentanyl and I don't know, is it in China's, are they deliberately trying to undercut the United States by exporting the precursors and fentanyl? That's what the Trump administration would say. Is that an important issue in terms of trade with China? And then if we get some soybeans, maybe we get back on the soybean train. Maybe that's worth it. Maybe those two things are worth it because we can't solve the security in Taiwan and all these other issues.
Those things are definitely worth it. They're not the only thing that's out there, and I wouldn't venture whether China is intentionally exporting fentanyl precursors to harm people here in the U.S. I live in San Francisco. The streets of San Francisco have been decimated by people who are fentanyl addicted. So it's very welcome that President Trump, as President Biden did, is focusing on this issue. And let's hope we get a deal on this It's very, very important. And I would say one other thing. It's very important for President Xi and Trump to be talking and for our militaries to be talking. I just came back from China. Man, there's a two-speed economy there. The traditional economy, housing, some of the consumer things not going so well. On the tech side, Joe, they are going incredibly fast. They are really leaning into the future. And sometimes I worry that here in the U.S., we seem to be hearkening back to the past.
Right.
So
although no guardrails anywhere for AI. So we'll see. We had a robot out. I was nervous. Becky went out and Oculus. What's this robot's name? Oedipus?
No, it's the Optimus.
Optimus. I knew it was close. I knew Oedipus is a different guy entirely.
Optimus Prime Transformers.
But he just had a look on his face when, he looked nice. Here, little girl, have some candy. But the whole thing was...
He had no look on his face. It's just a black mask.
I saw some. I don't know. I didn't want him to grab you, and, we couldn't have pried his fingers. I don't know.
You didn't tell me of any of these concerns when you sent me out there yesterday.
Ask Anja. Are we not worried about no guardrails on AI in either country, Anja? Aren't we worried?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you raised it. We are extremely worried about no guardrails on AI. And I think the Chinese are worried. So I would hope that coming out of this meeting between Xi and Trump, you have more detailed discussions between the two countries about that exact issue. There's some in the Track 2 side. I'm part of one, but it's more nascent than it needs to be. I just have to put one plug in for the Aspen Strategy Group. We have an edited volume coming out tomorrow that discusses trade, AI, and many of these other issues that we're talking about here today.